Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is Decoding with Cody. Today is January 26th, 2026, and the anniversary of the death of Kobe Bryant in his supposed helicopter crash on his way to from Catholic Mass. Anyways, hope you guys are all well today. Today is live stream part 2 of Super Bowl LX or Super Bowl 60. We covered this a few days ago, and we're going to touch on more of this now that we have the final two teams. And thank you, Coffee Girl, for the thumbs up that the sound is coming through. Appreciate that, as always. And to everyone in the chat who comes in, if you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to hit those like buttons if it's valuable information. Hopefully, you guys, didn't bet too much on what I said. Again, this stuff is hard, guys, and we don't get it always right. I mean, I never told you guys that 100% anyone was going to win, but of course, you guys know I liked the Rams. I was wrong to think the Rams because of the 666 that didn't come through. But we got the Seahawks instead. I was on the Patriots, but I thought the Rams would come through. But I'm going to show you why I believe it's the Seahawks this time, of course. If you guys missed the first episode, I pretty much went over all these different things. You guys will have to go back and check that one out. I might go over some of that stuff here, but this has to be all new codes because there's so much to go over. So this will be full of all kinds of new things that was not in the first decode. But yeah, so we have a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of things to touch on. So I'm not going to waste too much time here. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to Not of This World. Thank you for being here. Hello to Sojourn. Hello to Danny. Hello to Isus Saves. Hello to Ray. Hello to Squirrel. Martin. I hope everyone is well to this evening or this afternoon, wherever you are. So let's make the screen bigger and let's start getting into the decode. Once again, thanks everyone for being here today. So, yeah, I'll give it another couple, like a half minute or a minute or so. Maybe we can get a few more people in here to start the decode. Hello, Susie. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Mr. S. Mr. S, thank you for coming on our live stream last week with Ball Don't Lie and Rambo. Appreciate you, man. So yeah, let's see. There's so much to talk about. I hope I can set this out in a somewhat decent order so that you guys it's not just a mess of a decode. But again, when you have these huge decodes, it's hard to keep everything organized sometimes. So if it's a little unorganized, please cut me a bit of slack. So what we're going to talk about in this decode is the final two teams going to the Super Bowl, the Patriots and the Seahawks. We're going to talk about the horse because the horse is still very important, even though the Denver Broncos lost. Which again, I don't really think I made it clear that I was on the Patriots, but in my last decode, the first team I talked about was the Patriots. So I was on the Patriots more than the Broncos. If you guys want to see my first slide for the last decode was about the connection between Elvis, which we might talk a little bit about here, but was the connection between the Super Bowl and the Patriots. This was my first slide in the last decode. I really liked the Patriots for a lot of reasons, but the Broncos with their injured quarterback, I was very skeptical. And of course, we had this game between the Broncos and the Patriots ended up being a snow out. It was a whiteout. So it was a pretty crazy game. But again, you guys know, just to go over, the Super Bowl will be Eliphas Levi's 216th birthday, which again is the gematria of Elvis Aaron Presley. It's also where the Church of Satan was founded, which is 6 times 6 times 6. This is what gave us the idea, me and many other decoders, that the Rams could come into the Super Bowl with 666 wins. Of course, this is the one part of the decode which was not successful because the Rams, they stayed on 665 wins. Okay. They lost, so they stayed on 665. They got their 641st win, which is interesting because that's 116 prime, which connects us to the 119 code. But again, let's see. So we talked about the Seahawks last. Again, we talked about the Seahawks in the decode last time. I touched on them a lot actually, but I was still favoring the Rams. But again, the Seahawks are completely coded with this. Again, if you guys missed the decode, you guys will have to go back. Remember the big point here. Okay, the reason I was very, very not 100% on the Rams was because of this. So look how old the state of Washington is going to be on the date of the Super Bowl. So this is pretty big, guys. This is a huge code for 9/11. Because remember, Washington State was founded on November 11th, which is actually 9/11, because November is actually 9. But check out how old, and shout out to Decoding Our Reality, another channel who's exposed this before. But the state of Washington will be 7,109 weeks old on the Super Bowl, and the team will be in the Super Bowl from Washington. And again, 7109 is the 911th prime number. So guys, this is pretty big. Huge 9/11 connection to the Super Bowl and Washington State, which we'll talk a bit more later about this, but this is kind of the gist of the last decode, which is what I presented about the Seahawks possibly winning. Again, I was more on the Rams, and no one's perfect, and I appreciate you guys for understanding. Again, I didn't tell you guys to go out and bet on my information. I certainly didn't bet on it because I wasn't sure on it. But anyway, I think, and then we talked about the COVID cases, how Washington State was the first COVID case, and then the first death from the COVID was in Santa Clara, which is where the Super Bowl is going to be. So there's a huge tie-in to the COVID COVID, right? But yeah, let's go back to the new slides. So that was the old slides from the other day. So let's get into the new information. Now that we have the two teams that are successfully in the Super Bowl, we can now go deeper and find out what's really kind of the symbolism for some of these things. Welcome to Morgan, who's in the chat. Thank you for always posting your incredible information, talking about the I Am That Saturn and the ice. Yeah, lots of different ice stuff going on. Guys, the total points in the Broncos-Patriots game yesterday was 17 points. And what did I talk about the day before? I talked about 17. You know how ice equals 17, and then it was an icy game, and the final score was a total of 17 points. Are you kidding me? So that ice thing really came through. And again, it shows it in the snow. I can show you a picture of the stadium. So you guys can see it turned out to be a very icy game. Patriots Broncos. You guys can see it went from green. It went from green to white within minutes. And this game turned into be the ice game. And again, the white team ended up winning. So like the white horse, we're going to talk about this. If you guys haven't been watching my content, I've been talking all year about the white horse. Why is that? Because we're coming up on the year of the horse. And this is a huge key, guys, with these games. And you're going to see that if you go back to all the Super Bowls in the horse year, they're actually tied in to the four teams that were left in the contention. And it's all connected to the horse year. And again, the horse year starts this year on February 17th. Right here, February 17th, 2026, the beginning of the horse year, okay? But we're going to take a trip back in memory lane and go back to the other horse years as well in a minute. So why am I talking so much about the horse, considering that the horse team is now out of the playoffs? Well, I'm sorry, guys. Let me first go over to X and show you a picture that was posted. A picture that was posted by NFL Fox Sports, so a big channel. They posted the Patriots quarterback, Drake May, riding a white horse. Okay? So the horse is still as important as it was before. And instead of it being the horse, it's actually the rider of the horse. The important aspect of the horse is who is riding the horse. And because the Patriots beat the horse team, the Patriots are now riding the horse into the Super Bowl. Do you guys get what I mean? Raise your hand in the chat if you guys understand the symbolism. The Patriots are now riding the horse into the Super Bowl, which is what they presented here. Okay, this is what they're telling you with this picture. All right, this was a picture posted by Fox News or Fox Sports, right? So a big channel. So it doesn't have to be the horse going in. It's the rider of the horse. And the rider of the horse here is number 10, Drake May. And we're going to talk a lot about Drake May and how he is, in my opinion, one of the most important players in this whole Super Bowl. And I'm going to show you why it is by the numbers, of course. They also posted him, another channel posted him stabbing a sword through the white horse helmet. Now, this symbolism is going to go back to what we're going to talk about here. What's with the sword going through the horse helmet? Okay, so there's two symbolism here. There's the white horse riding the white horse, and there's the sword going through this helmet here. Okay, this is clear symbolism. Notice the Catholic cathedral style. Notice the twin pillars, first of all. Twin pillars. But notice the cathedral, Catholic cathedral, like stained glass. Okay, so this is going to tie into all the Catholic stuff we're going to talk about. So I wanted to show you guys those two pictures that were posted just to set it off. But the first thing we're going to look at is a picture posted by, guys, this is the most crazy part of this decode, I think, in my opinion. And I think many of you probably already saw this. But here is a picture posted by the NFL on September 4th, 2025. So the very first game of the NFL season was on September 4th. And look at who, I don't know if you guys can see this very well, but look at who they have. You can see who's in the very front here. Okay, it's hard to see here, but if you guys go look at the picture yourself and zoom in, the first person in this picture closest to the Super Bowl trophy is Drake May. Are you kidding me, guys? They gave you, sorry, are you coding me, guys? That's my new catchphrase. Are you coding me? They gave you the Super Bowl matchup in the very first day of the season. And how did they do it? They showed you Drake May, number 10, up here in the front. I wish I could zoom in on this. Let me see if I can make it a bit bigger. No, it's not gonna work. Hold on. I don't know. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but you can see up here in the front, it's number 10, Drake May from the Patriots. He's closest to the Super Bowl trophy. Guys, this was posted on the first day of the year, the first game of the season, all the way back in September. What are the odds? And look who's standing right next to him. The Seahawks quarterback, Sam Darnold. And who are the two people in the Super Bowl? All right, so this is clearly showing, if I would have seen this before my last decode, I would have been on, I would have probably been on this thing, because how could you not? You had the two teams that could make it to the Super Bowl right in the front, right next to each other. And like, it's just, how can this not be obvious that they're telling you, right? You don't even need gematria. You don't need gematria. You don't need all the chaos that we go through on this channel sometimes. You just needed this picture, okay? You just needed this picture. You guys can see it a little bit better here. You see number 10, Drake May, Patriots, number 14, Darnold. They're standing right next to each other in the front, right? Right by the Super Bowl trophy. Now, I know there's other players over here, but they're not standing in the complete front. Drake May is the one in the very front, okay? So is this a clue that the Patriots end up being the number one, that they come out with the win? Again, this decode is not about predicting who's going to win because I haven't gathered enough info on this Super Bowl yet to make a clear decision. So I want you all to know that. Please raise your hand in the chats if you guys understand that this is not a Super Bowl prediction decode yet. This is not, I haven't made my final decision on who's going to win, but this picture, okay, this picture seems to show us that, you know, if the pattern holds, that means the Patriots would win based off of this picture. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But that's not, again, do your own research as well. But notice the sun over here. It looks like the sun from the iPet Goat films. Do you guys think that? It kind of looks like the sun in the iPet Goat videos. So anyway, let's get back. Let's get to the slides. So again, I showed you guys here. I tried to zoom in for you guys, but here you can see the front of the players is Patriots and Seahawks, with the Patriots being in the very front. So Patriots being in the very front, does that mean they win? Possibly. But you never know for sure, guys. They're very, you can easily get tricked, right? Very easily tricked. But let's talk about the Seahawks real fast because they have a very interesting pattern as to when they make it to the Super Bowl. So check this out. 2005, the Seahawks made it to the Super Bowl as the number 1 seed. And that was the year the new Pope was elected, okay? So let's fast forward to 2013. The Seahawks made it to the Super Bowl as the number 1 seed again, and that was the year the new Pope was elected. And now let's fast forward to just yesterday, and let's see. The Seahawks made it to the Super Bowl as the number 1 seed, and that's what last year was the year the Pope was elected. I mean, wow. You know what I mean? Like, this is another pretty obvious pattern. I had to start out with these two obvious things, like this picture and this pattern, right? Like, it's pretty clear that there's something going on with the Seahawks and the Holy See. Think about that for a minute. They call it the Holy See, and we're talking about the Seattle Seahawks, okay? They're all connected with the Pope. Every year the Pope is elected. The last 3 times they made it to the Super Bowl is in the year the Pope was elected. So, but that doesn't mean they'll win. Again, we're not looking at who's going to win right now. We're just looking at the symbolism. And let's not forget that in the Bible, it's the beast out of the sea, right? And that's what, you know, Jurassic talks about a lot, is the beast out of the sea. Seattle, get out of Seattle, right? Again, if you guys know his channel, I talked about him in my last decode. He talks about that. So he got it right. He got the Seattle Seahawks right. So, you know, I was on the Rams. He was on the Seahawks. And because he always talks about Seattle. So, of course, he got it right. But again, you have this sea thing. And again, is Seattle about ready to get the Beastquake done to them? Remember how there was a Beastquake in Seattle from that football play? Sorry, guys, I'm trying to set my phone up here so it quits falling over. And I hope you guys don't see the loud stuff. Yeah, we might talk about the horse Seattle Slew. And again, Jurassic has talked about that many times. But you guys might have, again, Seattle is in a place where you're very on a fault line. So you guys, if you live in Seattle, But let me just type in Seattle Slew, right? Seattle Slew was a racehorse that won the Triple Crown. Oh my goodness, he died in 2002. This is big, guys. I was missing this. I'm going to talk about the year 2002 because it was a horse year. And guess who was born in 2002? Guess who was born in 2002? Yeah, you guessed it. The Patriots quarterback, Drake May. So Seattle Slew, the racehorse. Okay. Drake May, born the year that Seattle Slew died. Now, check out the gematria of Seattle Slew. And of course, slew means to kill. But check out the gematria, 141 and 66. Well, Seattle Slew equals Drake May. So how about that? Drake Lee May, born the year Seattle Slew died, which was a horse year. He equals 66 like Seattle Slew. Okay, so this is a huge code, and I might just have to do a whole decode on this because I don't have a lot on this now, but yeah, I mean, this is big. So let's talk about, okay, we just found out that every time the Seahawks make it to the Super Bowl, yeah, the Patriots are 66 years old. That's a great addition. But yeah, so I already talked about how every time the Seattle Seahawks make it to the Super Bowl, there's a new pope elected from the Holy See, like the beast out of the sea. Seattle equals 19, right? So a huge number was Seattle. Well, yesterday when Seattle made it to the Super Bowl, it was exactly 19 weeks after Pope Leo's birthday, and their record in the playoffs became 19-19. I mean, this was completely synced up to Pope Leo, not just with them making it every year that the Pope makes it, but completely synced up with his. And 19 is the sun card. I want you guys to understand the sun aspect here. Pope Leo is the sun. Okay. The 19th tarot card is the sun. Guys, let's go over to the 19th tarot card. What is on the 19th tarot card? Do you guys see? This just hit me. Do you guys see what is on the 19th tarot card? Is that not a white horse? Did Pope Leo not get a white horse? And did the Seahawks not just advance to the Super Bowl 19 weeks after his birthday? And Leo is the sun? How did I not just do a video a few weeks ago about the Proton event with the white horse? So this is it right here, guys. The 19th tarot card, 19 weeks after Pope Leo's birthday, he received Proton. Remember, Pope Leo received the white horse. And when did he receive that white horse? Well, he received that horse on 10/15, which is one day after Charlie Kirk's birthday. And the two quarterbacks that are in the Super Bowl now are 10/14. So he received that white horse one day after 10/14, which are the quarterbacks' numbers in the Super Bowl. So you got the sun, Leo the sun, the white horse. Okay. 19. It was 19 weeks after his birthday. Seattle equals 19. Again, their record was 19-19. So So this is about the sun, guys. It's about, and going back to Elvis real fast. Elvis had a horse called Rising Sun. So my whole last decode was about how this connected to Elvis, right? But Elvis's horse is called Rising Sun. The king's horses, all the king's horses and all the king's men. Seattle is in King County. So this is it, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, this is the riddle. 19 weeks. You got all the horse themes. You got the horse on the tarot card. It's funny that as I'm doing this decode, things are becoming more clear to me. It's funny that I did the whole decode, and now as I'm on here, I'm literally, everything is becoming clear to me. I should have put the Sun Tarot card right here because that's what this is all about. Because look, what's the picture? What's the main theme of the picture that they posted right here? It's the sun. You see the sun over the Golden Gate Bridge? Again, gold represents the sun in the sky. So again, just to reiterate, we got the 1014, right? Leo received a horse on 1015, the day after 1014. Now that's interesting because remember, 1015 was the start of the Gregorian calendar. And remember how when Leo received the horse, it was 161803 days after the Gregorian calendar started, which is the golden ratio. But let's talk more about this 1014. Why is Charlie Kirk's birthday, first of all? I mean, this is obviously a tribute to Charlie Kirk. His birthday is 1014. It's 1014 is National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. Now you got quarterbacks 10-14 in the Super Bowl. So I knew there had to be a Charlie Kirk thing going on. And I think it's pretty obvious. I'm not sure who it was earlier in the year that told me that they thought that quarterbacks number 10 and 14 would be in the Super Bowl. But whoever that was, good call by you, man. I don't remember who that was. If anyone in the chat can remind me who that was that mentioned that, they were dead on, okay? But not only is this tied to Charlie Kirk, 10-14, right? Check out all the words that equal 10-14. Sam Darnold equals 10-14. Who's Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold is the Seattle Seahawks quarterback. But not only does the Seattle Seahawks quarterback equal 10-14, the name of his team itself, Seattle Seahawks, equals 10-14. The Seattle Seahawks play in Lumen Field, which equals 10-14. And just to throw in one Patriot connection here, the original logo for the Patriots was called Pat the Patriot, which equals 10-14. But you guys can clearly see here that the 10-14 connections are clearly connecting to the Seahawks with their stadium they play in, their name of their team, and their quarterback's name all equal 10-14. So that that's interesting for the Seahawks. Again, we're not making a pick here. We're gathering all the info, and then we're going to make an estimated. We're going to gather all the info and figure out which team makes the most sense. But I do want to say that I like the Seattle Seahawks in this aspect because they have the SS, which is the sun. The sun starts with the S, right? The serpent. We're still in the year of the snake, and I'm going to get to why the snake year and the horse year are so connected and what it really means. But before we do that, we need to understand how crazy this is with the horse years. Why are the horse years so tied to the four teams that were left in the playoffs? Okay. There were four teams left: the Rams, the Seahawks, the Broncos, and the Patriots. Okay. So look at this. The horse years happen every 12 years apart. Now, The Seahawks yesterday were promoting the number 12. Of course, the most famous Patriot of all time is number 12, Tom Brady. Okay, so let me just talk about the 12 for a minute. The Seahawks, if you watched the ceremony last night, they were all about the number 12, okay? Because they call their fans the 12s. And there's a big reason why the Seahawks are in there, and this is something I missed in my last decode. Because 12 is an important number with the Chinese zodiac. The Chinese zodiac, which the horse year is connected to, it's every 12 years. The horse year is every 12 years. So, guys, I'll give you one guess who was in the Super Bowl 12 years ago in the year of the horse. Look who, guys, this is so crazy. Yeah, there's the 12 disciples, Revelation 12. Thank you guys in the chat. But look who was in the Super Bowl 12 years ago. It was the Seahawks and the Broncos. And that was a horse year. So again, why are they hyping up the number 12? Because Seattle won their last Super Bowl in the year of the horse against the white horse. Are you kidding me? Are you coding me? In fact, they won their Super Bowl against the white horse team 3 days after the horse year started. That's improbable. That shows us that we need to pay attention to the horse years and the zodiac years. Whenever we're having a Super Bowl, it's super important. But not only that, guys, if we go back another 12 years, we have the debut of number 12, Tom Brady, for the Patriots. And that was a horse year. And who was the two teams in the Super Bowl in 2002? It was the Rams and the Patriots. And number 12, Tom Brady, won his first Super Bowl 12 years before the Seahawks won their Super Bowl. And here we are 12 years later, and we have the Patriots versus the Seahawks. Raise your hand in the chat if you guys understand how monumental this slide is, what I'm showing you, because this is absolute proof that this is what this is all about. 12 years. This is why the Seahawks are hyping up the number 12, okay? This is why Tom Brady wears the number 12, okay? So every 12 years, the horse year happens, and the last two horse years featured the Patriots and the Seahawks. And the other two teams that were involved in those Super Bowls was the two teams that just lost. Do you guys understand how if I would have saw this, if I would have seen this before, I would have gone with the Patriots and the Seahawks? Because they told you right here, this was it. This was the missing piece. Because this is the two winning teams in the horse years. 12 years, every 12 years. And the two losing teams yesterday were the two teams that lost in those Super Bowls to the same teams that they lost to yesterday. Or not the same teams, but do you guys see how perfect this is? These are the same four teams. And this is proof, man. But look who was born the year 2002. Drake May. So the year that Tom Brady, the quarterback for the Patriots, won his first Super Bowl, number 12, the guy who's now in the Super Bowl for the Patriots is the guy who was born that same year, Drake May. And they're putting him on a horse, guys. In the post that I just showed you, they're putting him on a horse. Because he beat the horse team that the Seahawks beat in the last horse year. And now he's going on to face the Seahawks in the Super Bowl after just beating the horse team. And look at this. From the Super Bowl where Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl against the Rams to the year of the horse starting, it was 10 days. 10 days between. And that's the number of Drake May. So this right here tells us about Drake May. Okay? Actually, this slide right here is pretty much all you really needed to understand what was going on. This was the whole thing, guys. I wish I would have found this before the games, man. Because this was it. This was as simple as it got. I mean, unless you want to say that this picture, this picture that they put out before the season even started was actually even more simple. You just had the two teams right there in front that you got to see them winning. So, I mean, there's that one as well. But besides that, this slide, this connection to the year of the horse was absolutely the clue. So, but there's a bigger connection here between Drake May, right? Drake May, born in the year of the horse. And let's not forget that Sam Darnold, thank you guys in the chat for telling me about this, but Sam Darnold, he played for USC. And USC is the Trojans. And what do you see here? What do you see? Is this not mind-blowing, folks? Sam Darnold, the other quarterback for the Seahawks, he played for USC in college. And what do they do before their games? They ride out on the white horse with the sword. And I'm about ready to show you why that's so important. I haven't even gotten to why the white horse with the rider with the sword is so important. So this is how we get all the way back around, okay? Please hit the like, guys, if you guys understand how what I'm showing you is undeniable. It really is. We already talked about Pope Leo getting the white horse, how it was all tied to Pope Leo. And now here we are showing how Sam Darnold is tied to the Trojans, which is tied to the white horse. Now, remember, we got the Trojan horse. Okay? So, but who is Drake May? Drake May is the dragon, okay? So Drake Draco is the dragon, okay? Drake, it can also be a duck. We could talk about the ducks. We talked a lot about the ducks this year, but let's focus on the dragon for a minute, because Drake means dragon, okay? It can also mean sea monster. And who is this hockey team for Seattle? Well, it's the Kraken, the sea monster, okay? But Drake May, he's the dragon, okay? So they put him on a white horse. Do you guys see? Okay, this is the big one, guys. Just look at this. I just told you about all the 10-14s, right? With the two quarterbacks are in the Super Bowl or 10-14. That's Charlie Kirk's birthday. Sam Darnold equals 10-14, like Seattle Seahawks. But look at this. This is all about St. George and the dragon, okay? And let me explain why this is. So the two pictures that were posted of Drake May, again, Drake is dragon. The two pictures that were posted of Drake May after he won was him on a white horse and him stabbing a sword through a helmet with a white horse on it. So what's the symbolism here? It's pretty clear, all right? It's St. George and the dragon. Look at what St. George is riding. It's a white horse. Look at what St. George is holding, a sword. And look at what St. George is doing. He's stabbing the dragon like Drake May is stabbing the horse. Do you see how they inverted it, though? Instead of Drake May riding the horse here, he's actually stabbing the horse, which represents the dragon, but he's the dragon on the horse. Whereas in this picture, St. George is the horse stabbing the dragon. You guys see how it's inverted? It's like Antichrist symbolism. It's inverted. It's flipped over. It's upside down. Because in this picture, St. George is stabbing the dragon, But in this picture, the dragon, Drake, is stabbing the horse. So it's a mind cluster. It's a cluster. I don't want to say the bad word, but it makes you, it flips things upside down and inverts them. It inverts them. That's what I'm trying to say. So Saint George and the dragon equals 1014. Are you coding me? So I just exposed to you what's with the 1014s. Well, I believe that it goes back to this Saint George and the dragon. This is what they call it. If you go to the Wikipedia page, this is the name for it. Saint George and the dragon. Okay, that equals 1014, right? Which is the number of the two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. And again, they're portraying Drake May as the dragon riding the horse. Instead of the dragon being trampled by the horse, the dragon is riding the horse. Okay. So it's an inversion. All right. The dragon, Drake, is riding the horse. So basically, what they're saying is watch out for the guy riding the white horse because he's the dragon, he's the serpent. He might not be he might not be what you think, right? But here's another connection to this. In case you guys don't think that this might be connected to St. George and the Dragon, well, Drake May and Sam Darnold, again, Sam Darnold played for the team where they ride the white horse, and then Drake May was beating the white horse. But St. George's Day is normally celebrated on April 23rd, but there is some places that celebrate St. George's Day on January 25th. Guys, both of these teams advanced to the Super Bowl on January 25th, meaning that one of the alternate celebration days for St. George and the Dragon was the day that this happened. Okay, wow. Are you coding me? St. George and the Dragon's Day can be celebrated on January 25th. I mean, that just kind of like solidifies that connection. Now, we're talking about Washington State. Sam Darnold is the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks out of Washington State. Well, who is Washington State named after? Okay, so here we go. We're going right back to the George stuff. This is what this is about. George Washington. Okay, so we're connecting to St. George and the Dragon. And we're connecting this to the Seahawks, who are from Washington, which is named after George. Okay. So that explains why this is all synced up with the George and the Dragon, right? It's kind of that. Not only is it on the day where you can celebrate that, but there's another aspect to this that has the same theme. Okay. How many times do I have to show you a white horse with a rider? Okay. Here's another one. So we've already talked about the Trojans from Sam Darnold's team. We've already talked about the Sun card with the Pope Leo and the white horse on it. But now we've talked about St. George and the Dragon, but we missed one. Well, actually, we missed two. Because remember, before the Super Bowl, before the last two games, there was two coaches versus Mike versus Sean, okay? 2 games, Mike versus Sean, right? And we were wondering, who's going to make it? Is it going to be 2 Mikes, 2 Seans, or is it going to be another Mike and a Sean? Well, the answer was, let me just take away the Seans here. You got to take away the Seans because now the final game is going to be Mike versus Mike. Now, what is Mike versus Mike all about? Well, Mike versus Mike is about the Archangel Michael. Now, in Eastern Orthodox Christian art, Michael is depicted riding a white horse or a red horse, which is interesting because we're coming up on the fire horse, which is actually the red horse. But Saint Michael is depicted riding the white horse and stabbing the dragon too. I mean, this is why we have Mike versus Mike. So you got the St. George connection and the dragon, and you have the Archangel Michael connection. Now, remember, the horse year that's coming up is starting on Michael Jordan's birthday. The horse year is starting on Michael Jordan's birthday. So now it makes complete sense why you have Michael versus Michael, okay? The horse. Michael Jordan represents the rider riding the horse because his birthday is the horse year. So he's the one, Michael is riding the horse. Remember, last month when Philip Rivers, I talked about Colts quarterback Philip Rivers. If I can find it here. I must have passed it. Give me 1 second, guys. So you guys remember in my last decode, I talked about the song Elvis is Everywhere, and I talked about Joan Rivers and Michael J. Fox. So this is a Back to the Future theme here that I'm probably going to have to do another whole decode about. But remember, the only person that Elvis is not in is Michael J. Fox. But remember, when Philip Rivers came out of retirement, he came out of retirement after he was coaching high school at St. Michael's Catholic. And the first team that he played after he came out of retirement was the Seahawks and Michael McDonald, who's the coach of the Seahawks, right here. And remember when he went to Washington, the rivers were flooding and his name was Rivers. And in the song Elvis is Everywhere, it mentions Joan Rivers. And Philip Rivers' mother's is named Joan Rivers. Remember, Washington crossed the Delaware River, right? And we're talking about Michael Jordan, like crossing the Jordan. Okay, so there's a huge river, crossing a river connection here as well. But again, this was from my last slide. This connects all back with the Michael theme, okay? So let's go back to where we were. Let's go back to my slide about Michael and Archangel Michael, right? So now you understand how it all connects with Michael Jordan, Michael J. Fox, Philip Rivers, whose middle name is also Michael, I believe, and he coaches at St. Michael's. And remember, in Stranger Things that just ended, the last person to speak really in the show and tell a story is Michael, right? The boyfriend of Eleven. Okay. So even Stranger Things had a huge, and don't even forget Michael Jackson, who's from Indiana, and we had Indiana win the national championship. So there's the Michael stuff is definitely there. Okay. But here's the kicker. The story going around is the girlfriend, or sorry, the wife now of Drake May. And guess what her name is? She has an interesting name. Her name is Anne Michael May. And every article that you see about her, they always using the Michael in there. Look, Drake May admits he's competitive with his wife, Anne Michael. It doesn't call her just Anne. They'll always have to use the Michael in there. And how many girls do you guys know with the middle name Michael? I'm not saying it's impossible for a girl to have the middle name Michael, but I mean, how many girls do you know with the middle name Michael? So do you understand why, again, his coach is also named Michael. Drake May's coach is named Michael. He's going to be playing against another coach whose name is Michael. They put him on a white horse, which again is Michael, right? Michael's riding the white horse, like St. George. But yeah, I mean, I just don't I just don't understand how this is not pretty clear that even his wife's name is Michael, right? And they always putting it out there. But this brings us to the last white horse connection, because Jesus also rides a white horse. So we talked about Pope Leo getting the white horse. We talked about Drake May. We talked about St. George, and we talked about Archangel Michael. But Jesus is depicted as the rider on the white horse. In Revelation, in the book of Revelation 19:11 through 16, Jesus is described as the warrior king descending from heaven on a white horse. Rather than using physical lance or sword, a sharp sword comes from his mouth to strike down his enemies. He defeats the beast and the armies of the world, which are closely linked to the great dragon. So again, just like we have St. George killing the dragon, and we have Archangel Michael killing the dragon, and Drake means dragon, we also have Jesus riding the white horse, killing the dragon. So you guys see that this theme is so important, and it's one of the main themes of the Super Bowl for sure, considering the Drake thing and the horse, right? Which is why you got the picture of Drake May riding the horse, and the sort of stabbing also, which is the same concept as this picture. Notice that it says New England is AFC royalty again. So the whole kingship thing. We had Elvis the King. Seattle is in King County. This does all connect to King James again. Remember, Charlie Kirk, his death was all connected to King James because it's all connected to the King James Bible. So there's a huge king royalty, King James theme here that I could talk about, but I don't think it's necessary in this decode. But here's the crazy part. Do you guys raise your hand in the chat if you guys remember my decode from last week with Derek from Gematria? You guys remember this decode? We called it in the time of Jesus Christ. Okay, do you guys remember this? We talked about how this time we're in the lunation 1275. What's a lunation? It's just a period of, since we started counting every new moon since 1923, it's a period of about 29 days to every new moon. Okay, so every new moon is a new lunation. Trump was born. Remember, we just started lunation 1275 on the 18th of January. Jesus Christ equals 1275. Christ equals 290. Donald Trump was born in lunation 290. I have 290 in the chat. As soon as I started, I swear, guys, as soon as I start talking about a number, it just pops up in the chat. I just started talking about 290, and it popped up that I had 290 in the chat. Do you guys see it? It's still there. I'm just going to wait for it to go. Okay, we're at 292 now. But yeah, Christ equals 290. Donald Trump was born in lunation 290, okay? But not only that, Donald Trump is going to turn 985 lunations old on 2/2/2026, and Jesus equals 985, okay? Which means that Jesus equals 985, Christ equals 290, which means 985 plus 290 is 1275, which means Jesus Christ equals 1275, which is what we're currently in. So let me show you. So if you guys watched this decode and you were like, oh, well, this is pretty amazing. But look at how Drake May, I'm going to show you, but look at how Drake May is a perfect symbol of this decode that we just did last week. Check this out. This is undeniable, guys. Drake May was born in lunation 985, which is Jesus. And he's turning exactly 290 lunations old on the Super Bowl, which is Christ, equals 290. And again, Trump was born in lunation 290 and will turn 985 lunations on 2/2. So he's the opposite of Drake May. Drake May is the opposite, but both of their lunations sum to 1275 plus 985 plus 290 is 1275, which is the moon lunation that we're currently in. So how perfect is it? Remember, we're talking about Jesus now because we're talking about Jesus is the rider on the white horse, which is the depiction of Drake May here. And now we find out that Drake May is the Jesus character as well. I'm not saying he's Jesus, guys. He's an inversion or a symbol of it, but he's born in lunation 985. Are you kidding me? Jesus equals 985. He's going to turn, this is so big, guys. He's going to turn exactly 290 lunations and 0 days on the Super Bowl, which is Christ. That's improbable. That's so perfect, man. That's so perfect. So I hope you guys can grasp how perfect that really is, considering we just talked about this last week. We just talked about it. So with that being said, now that you guys know the Jesus thing, let's go off of the white horse and the Jesus and the Michael and the St. George stuff for a minute. And let's talk about the Donald Trump stuff for a second, because the coach of the Seahawks is Mike Macdonald. And I found this before the games yesterday, and this is what really made me doubt the Los Angeles Rams. I probably should have done a short video about this so I could update everyone. And I apologize for not doing that, guys, because this right here might have actually persuaded a lot of people to go with the Seahawks. Because Derek Gematria can confirm that I wrote this to him before the games happened yesterday, and that this was one of the reasons why I was off of the Rams a little bit more. I just didn't have time to do a video about it. But check this out. Mike Macdonald was hired as the Seahawks head coach on 1/31/2024. Now, 131 is an important number for the Super Bowl because Super Bowl equals 131. But check this out. From the day that Mike Macdonald was hired on 1/31 to the day of the Super Bowl on 2/8 is 2 years and 8 days. And not only is it 2 years and 8 days like the date of the Super Bowl, it's 739 days, which is the 131st prime, which is the Super Bowl gematria, and that's the day he was hired. So guys, this right here was a very clear riddle for Mike Macdonald to be going to the Super Bowl. This is as obvious as it gets right here. Like this right here was something that really sticks out. And again, what are the odds? 739 days, like 131 prime, which is the day he was hired, which is the Super Bowl gematria. And it's not only that, guys, it's 2 years and 8 days. That's the date of the Super Bowl. So this is as perfect as you can get, because not only did they encode the 131, not only did they encode the 131, but they encoded the date. So now we are back to my slides from a few days ago. And again, for those of you in Seattle, as Jurassic would say, maybe you guys should, I mean, I'm not saying today you should get out of Seattle, but I really want to make another point here real fast about this earthquake riddle and the Seattle stuff that could happen. So do you guys remember the beast quake? And considering we're talking about the beast, we're talking about the dragon. So the beast quake was a football game, and one of the coaches that was involved in this was Sean Payton. And Sean Payton is the guy who coaches the White Horse team currently, who just got beat by the Patriots. But the Beastquake was a small earthquake created after Seattle Seahawks running back Marshawn Lynch ran for a touchdown, and the whole stadium was so loud it shook the ground. Okay? And this happened on Elvis Presley's birthday in 2011, okay? And this was just months before the Great Japan earthquake. So let us go from January 8th, 2011, the Beastquake, to yesterday. And I want to show you how many Martian years. Again, what's a Martian year, guys? A Martian year. And I'll explain to you why I'm talking about Mars here, because it's about war, right? Mars. If you go from the Beastquake on the 8th day of the year in 2011 to yesterday's games, it was exactly 8 Martian years. And guys, Seattle, Washington, again, we're going from the Beastquake in Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington has a company near there called Mars Inc. And if you look up Mars in connection to horses, so we know Mars is an anagram of rams, like Dr. Savage just put in the chat. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Dr. Savage, everyone. But Mars is connected to horses as well because, and don't forget, Neptune, the god of the sea, we're talking about the Seahawks. Neptune is the god of earthquakes and horses. So let's first look at Mars. Again, Mars located in Seattle, the company. But if you look at Mars, check this out. Dr. Savage, you'll like this one. Look at this. In ancient Roman mythology or religion, the October horse was an annual sacrifice to Mars carried out on October 15th. Guys, this is the day that Pope Leo got his white horse. It was on the October horse sacrifice day, on the exact day. Again, let's go back to Pope Leo. He received this horse on October 15th, which is the day of the October horse sacrifice. All right. And again, I just showed you Mars from the Beastquake to yesterday's games where the horse lost to the Patriots was 8 Martian years. Okay. So now we understand more of why Pope Leo, we already knew it was because of the Gregorian calendar he received it, but this Mars connection we didn't know about, okay? And that's why it happened on this day. It's called the October horse. It's a ritual sacrifice for the horse on this day, okay? And again, this was the day that this happened. So now we understand why. And since someone in the chat is mentioning Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny's last album, look at Bad Bunny's last album. Are you guys kidding me? Everything is pointing to the horse, man. Everything. This is the Super Bowl performer, guys. His last album. And look, he's riding a white horse for Vogue. I mean, at this point, how can anyone deny? Please hit those like buttons. I've provided so much evidence that this whole thing is still about the white horse. It doesn't even have to just be the white horse, but the prominent feature is the white horse. And he's writing for his latest album. Bad Bunny's latest album. Maybe it's not his latest album. Let me try to find the actual album here. Hold on. Bad Bunny Horse album. Here it is. So I don't think it was his last album, but it was one of his last albums. He's riding the horse here, and I just showed you he's riding the white horse for Vogue, and he's got plenty of pictures riding horses. So lots of clear symbolism for horses. But this is his album, okay? And look at what it translates to. Nobody knows what will happen tomorrow. I mean, wow. Interesting, right? And it seems to be pointing once again to the horse. I was just trying to see what this might equal. Nobody knows what will happen tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna look more into that and see if there's anything. Of course, you guys know if I find something, I'll definitely be making videos about it. But I'm just wanting to point out this part of the Bad Bunny connection, and again, his horse. And again, thank you to Simple Truth TV, who I found that Alephus Levi thing from, and then he also pointed me onto this in his stream as well. So shout out to him as well. Shout out to all the great decoders. But again, let me go back to this slide that really proves that the horse years are important. Again, 2002, the year of the horse, 10 days before the horse year started in 2002. The Super Bowl was the Patriots beating the Rams. Okay, so there you go. The two teams that just the team that won beat the other team that lost. And then the next horse year, 2014, was the Super Bowl between the Broncos, the horse team, and the Seahawks won. So the two teams that won in the horse years just won yesterday to face each other. Okay, so this is clear. Like, this is the most, besides the picture they posted. Okay, and let me show you something absolutely crazy too. Let's go to this Super Bowl, but let's end this stream with this absolutely mind-blowing guys, this I didn't have this find that I'm going to show you for one simple decode because it's kind of not connected. But wait till I show you this. Look at the score of the Super Bowl in the year of the horse in 2014. It was 43-8. Okay, I want you guys to remember that. So this is the Super Bowl. Now there is a Simpsons episode. I don't think anyone else has ever found this. There's a Simpsons episode called The Bonfire of the Manatees. And in this episode, let me see if I can find it. All right, so in the episode, The Bonfire for the Manatees, the Super Bowl in this episode is the Seahawks and the Broncos. You guys can't see it really well. But you can see right here on the screen, final score, Broncos 19. Again, there's your 19 connection, your Sun card. Seahawks 14. Now, remember, people thought in 2014 that this Simpsons episode was going to predict this Super Bowl. Well, obviously, you guys can see right there that this Super Bowl was 43-8 and the Seahawks won. Well, in the episode, it's the Broncos winning by a score of 19-14. But let me show you how this episode release date is coded to the score of the game. Look at this. So if you go from the release date, let me just once again find the Simpsons. Let me get it in here. So here it is, the bonfire for the manatees. Go to the release date. Look at the release date, guys. September 11th, 2005. If you guys measure from this episode where they predict the Seahawks and the Broncos, September 11th, 2005, look at this. To that Super Bowl, which was, what was the date of that? February 2nd, 2014. Do you guys see what I'm showing you right there? Do you guys understand how crazy that is? Again, in this episode, it's the Seahawks versus the Broncos. The Broncos win 19-14, but that's not important. Well, it is important, probably. But look at how many weeks it was from this episode to the game, the actual Super Bowl between the Broncos and Seahawks. 438 weeks exactly on the nose. And what was the score of the game? Are you joking? Are you coding me? Are you coding me? The score of the game was 43-8. It was exactly 438 weeks. You could have, if you were doing decodes back then, you could have predicted a random score. And this is not a normal score for football, guys. 43-8 is not a random score. It's not a normal score for football. I mean, just look at that. That might be one of the most crazy finds in retrospect that I've ever found. Like looking back at something. 43-8. That's the amount of weeks on the nose. They literally coded the score to go with this episode of The Simpsons, which came out on 9/11, by the way. It not only is it exactly the amount of weeks, this came out on 9/11. So guys, I mean, that is just an extra bonus find. I mean, hopefully most people watch enough through this decode to see that, because that's just amazing. I might have to make just a quick decode to put that out into the world to show people that there's definitely something going on here, because that's absolutely ridiculous. But what's interesting, guys, is if you go from this game where the score was 43-8 and you measure to this Super Bowl, look at this. Something interesting going on here. Of course, I know it's not the Broncos and the Seahawks this time, but look. It's 4,389 days. Do you guys see the same number in there? So, I'm going from this Super Bowl, Seahawks and Broncos, which was 43-8, which was 438 weeks after the Simpsons episode. If you go from this Super Bowl to this Super Bowl coming up, it's 4,389 days. You got the same number in there, 43-8. And it has a 9 added, which a 9 is like a repeater number. So I don't know what that means, but it was 12 years, right? Like the horse years every 12 years. Seattle is the 12th man, right? So, guys, it's really crazy, man. It's also, I mean, man, it's just, to me, this is super interesting. Yeah, is the score going to be like 38-9? Is there a clue here? Are they going to code the score again like they did before? I don't know, but if you guys want to throw some darts at the dartboard with a score of 43-8 or 38-9 or something like that, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad try, right? Yeah, it's not going to be 43-89. I can guarantee you that one. But let me just look from the Simpsons episode to the Super Bowl this year. Let me just look at it for a second. See if there's something. Of course, it's not the same teams, guys. So, well, look at that. It's 20 years and 151 days, like Jesus Christ. It's exactly 1065 weeks, but that really doesn't give us any kind of scores. So I don't know, guys. All I did was show you how the Simpsons episode was coded into um perfectly into. Now, this might actually connect to this year's game because we got the 19 points for the Broncos and the 14 points for the Seahawks. And again, who's the quarterback for the Seahawks? Is number 14. So if any of you smart decoders out there want to look more into this and figure this out, how this might be tied to this year's Super Bowl. Of course, again, no, it's not the same two teams now. We were measuring from the Broncos Seahawks Simpsons episode to the Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl, and it gave us the exact score. But if there's a Simpsons episode that predicts the Patriots versus the Seahawks, maybe there is one. I don't know. If you guys want to look for that. Let me go to the chat and take some questions, and then we're going to wrap this up because I only have a short amount of time. All right, so Dr. Savage says from the implementation of the Gregorian calendar to the Super Bowl is 61919 days. Okay, so there's a whole 619 riddle, man. I've been finding so many 619s. I'm going to have to probably do a whole video about the 619s. And that's special to me because that's my birthday. So my birthday is 619. That's obviously King James' birthday as well, 619. Let me see if I can find. There was so many 619s I was finding. I think if you go from Drake May to Sam Darnold. No, that wasn't it. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to find where I was connecting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and do all of my 619s again. There's a whole bunch of 619s here, and what Dr. Savage is just writing seems to be connected because what I see when I read that number is 619. Yeah, 619 is the San Diego area code, which is why Rey Mysterio, the wrestler from WWE, is the king. Rey Mysterio means king. His move is the 619. So yeah, 619, the huge number. Let me just type in Sam Darnold also. I didn't do enough looking into him. All right, so Sam Darnold has 38 gematria, like Patriots. So, I mean, a lot of 38s. I didn't do so much gematria in this decode, but of course, we know this is on Eliphas Levi's birthday, which equals 38. Colorado, which is obviously where Denver is, 38. Drake May and Sam Darnold both 38. I believe Bad Bunny. Oh no, Bad Bunny is 83, not 38. But yeah, lots of 38s. Football equals 38. Oh no, sorry, football equals 83. I keep getting the 83s and 38s mixed up. But yeah, football equals Bad Bunny. All right, guys. Like I said, I don't have much time to stay on because I have to save some stream time for this month still for one more video. But if you guys enjoyed the content, please, I mean, again, if you guys missed the decode, go back and watch. There's so much info in here that really is mind blowing, in my opinion. And it's not even just about who's going to win. Like I said, this isn't about predicting who's going to win because I haven't done enough research yet. And I wouldn't be, we got 2 weeks to, if you guys are bettors, which, you know, Just always be smart, but you got 2 weeks, so it's no need to rush, into this. So I'm not rushing and trying to make a prediction, and I'm not really wanting to make a prediction. That's just reality. Yeah, I talked about how the Seahawks have the 12th man. We talked about the 12s earlier in the decode, so if you go back, you can find that. But thank you to the chat. Thank you to all the people who watched and commented. I'm sorry I can't get to more of your comments. Like I said, I got to end this pretty quickly. But once we get to the new month, guys, I'll be able to stay on longer and get back to your questions. But for now, please hit that like button on the way out. Again, if you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do so. Also, the Buy Me a Coffee link at the top of this chat in white. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you guys in a couple days with another decode. I don't know if it's going to be another Super Bowl decode, but we'll have at least one more Super Bowl decode before the Super Bowl, I think. So stay tuned for that. And depends on what I find. But until next time, guys, God bless you all. And I'll see you very, very soon. Have a nice day.